If you want to rattle a snake, you must be prepared to be bitten by it.
Did you really bring your mind to bear? Did you really focus and understand what you were doing? So that when you made the decision, you were convinced, whether wrong or right, you were convinced that you understood the situation.
And we don't want to get to that point where we have left the country to a few guys. This conversation is not for just us, it's for you to go and spread it out there.
Intolerance. We are brewing intolerance.
You will take it upon yourself to be in the know, one. To be involved, two. And if you're not being involved, to question why you're not being involved and find a way to get involved.
Democracy cannot operate unless we are tolerant. You tolerate your friend, your neighbor, to have an opinion different from yours.
Hey, what's up, people? Welcome to Proactive, another episode up and running. What's up, LC?
Hello, Timu.
We're doing a good job, man.
Yes, we are almost done with the 6-piece.
I know.
We are on the second last position.
Yeah,
this is exciting.
We really pushed this thing.
Yeah.
I hope at the end of this whole episode, people can go back and even use it even later on when August next year comes in.
Yeah. That is our intention.
Yeah, and think through these things. Engage us in this conversation. Let's find out what's happening on your ground, what's really the situation, what kind of leader have they chosen, and then we can sensitize people. And I think it's going to be really good. I know it's going to be very, very intentional for you, especially in Assemble.
No, I'm not a voter over there. I'm a voter in Nairobi.
You might not be a voter, but you have
just friends,
and you are invested in one way or another in Assemble to some extent.
Motherland.
Yes, and then Nairobi definitely we have to do way more than
Nairobi.
Yeah. Are you still keeping that conversation with people? I told you, my Nduthi guys are my favorite people nowadays. Now I found a restaurant that I usually go and sit down and chill and have some pork. And so I'm getting to know the guys around there. So every time they're there, we are having conversations. But the problem now ni wameshaanza kunita
Kiongozi.
Kiongozi na kwa ile siku nimelipwa na nafeel poa.
Wow.
But the idea behind it is having these conversations with people, moving this conversation away from this podcast and starting to talk to people around you. Because if you are influenced with what we are saying, it's a good thing. But also take it to the next step and also influence others around you.
Yeah.
So that by the end of it all, it's a ripple effect that we are doing. And you don't even have to do a lot of people. I mean, if I do one person who gets the change and they go and change someone else, it's a whole ripple effect that's happening.
Exactly.
Each one of us nimeanza kutumia brand za watu wengine, but each one of us reaching another one person eventually. But that was a side chat. We are at the roles and functions of a governor. Yes. Do we handle the governor and the deputy governor? Because people, I know the question that will come from people is, kama governor anafanya hii kazi yote, kazi ya deputy governor ni gani?
Siku deputize.
We've seen someone in Nairobi doing business without a deputy governor for a while.
Yeah, and then now we have a deputy governor without a governor.
And now we have a deputy governor without a governor.
Nairobi situation is, it can't be explained. In my opinion, it's unconstitutional, but there's a court decision that said it's constitutional. But in my opinion, who are you deputizing? Why would you be a deputy governor? Because even in these other counties, when a governor dies, the deputy governor now becomes the governor. And that's when he or she becomes the governor, he or she has to appoint another person to become the deputy governor. So the Nairobi situation is just a political situation.
Nairobi
politically
is just
orchestrated.
Yes, it's definitely a cartoon, with even now seeing the national NMS inakuwaga initials for.
Yeah, National Metropolitan Service.
I really never even took attention
about. No, Nairobi Metropolitan.
Yeah, I mean, you just giving...
Actually, Nairobi is a metropolitan.
It's pretty frustrating for us to give away, for you to give away our county to someone without us allowing it.
The latest court decision actually stated that the NMS boss ought not to sit with the cabinet ministers in meetings.
Exactly.
He had assumed the role of a cabinet secretary.
All of a sudden,
the things that are happening in Nairobi, honestly, under this government, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Every single day, the court is declaring unconstitutional moves made by the national government. So... Gosh, anyway, let's get into governor.
I mean, there are 46 other
I don't
counties
have a
that
governor.
are there are 46 other counties that are doing something different. So we need to not stress a lot on what's happening here, because this one is like a special case
Yeah.
for us. I'm thinking about voting for a governor next year.
Yes.
Let's just
You're thinking about voting for a governor?
let
Are you even sure that there's a position for Nairobi governor? Ama they'll do away with it.
by the fact that you still
Venye
think I'm in
kunakaa,
Nairobi.
venye kunakaa
Mi-
Nairobi sioni tukivotia governor.
Elsie Kanairo nilikuachia. Me, I am gone. I don't want to be
But you
associated
transfer your
with-
polling station to another place whereby governor anavotiwa.
It's running now, by the way.
Voter registration.
Voter registration.
And also you can change your
yeah,
polling station.
and this is now the time I should change my polling station, and this is one of those things that I'm working on, because to be honest, we're back in Nairobi. Me mambo ya Nairobi hapana. Mimi mambo ya Nairobi, surely. Am I running away from it? Yes, I am running away from the circus that is Nairobi County.
Bebe, unatoroka hii Nairobi polepole na kuona venye umekuwa ukihamahama.
Mumeimba hata mambo ya Nairobi. Ogopa sana mama. I'm done.
Kanairo.
Kanairo is dangerous. So let's look at the other. It's not like we're
The
going to
governor.
ignore. There's a court that is working to ensure that there's also stability back in Nairobi, so that as we handle all these 47 counties and understanding that I'm voting next year, what kind of a governor do I want? But I also need to understand what is the role of the governor.
Okay.
In all
So,
this.
growing up, Timo, we've always known that Kenya is run by a president.
Yes.
And we've always known that there's a president, and then before the 2010 constitution, the president used to have ministers, and now they're called cabinet secretaries, and the president is more or less the boss of the country. The president is more or less the person who's in charge of the affairs of the country. The president bears the biggest burden. Of course, we'll discuss president in next week's episode, but now when we come down to the county, the 2010 constitution introduced devolution. It is one of the gains of the 2010 constitution.
Yeah.
And devolution meant demarcating the country into counties rather than provinces. Before the country was demarcated into provinces, now we have counties. 47 counties, which earlier on today we were saying that they're tribal. They've been tribal lines. I don't know about that, but yes, we have 47 counties. They are listed in the one of the schedules of the constitution. I believe it's the first or second schedule that lists down all the counties in Nairobi. No, not in Nairobi, in Kenya.
In Kenya.
Nairobi being one of the counties, county 47. So
Yes.
county 001, which is Mombasa,
Yeah.
to 047, which is
Nairobi.
So we have 47 counties, and in these counties, again, some of these political positions we've discussed in the past emanate from the counties. For example, we have the woman representative. It's usually that's a county position. We have the Senate, that's a county position, and then now we have the governor, who is the president. Now that's why I was using the president example. Is the president, but at the county level, because now, yes, you can just see them as the president, but at the county level, because we have their wives calling themselves First Lady Machakos County, First Lady Kisumu County, First Lady Laikipia County, and we also have them building houses and calling them not really state house, but yes, something. They are residential homes. Official residence is more like state house, but within the county.
Yeah.
So I think in short, what I'm trying to say, the governor is I don't say commander-in-chief. The boss, the chief executive officer at the county level.
Yes. It's a better way to put it.
Chief executive or
Yeah.
commander-in-chief, hiyo ni ya KDF.
Hiyo ni ya KDF bana, utaleta kesi hapo. But it's definitely one of those things that we need to. He's like the executive of the county.
Yes.
And so we need to focus on necessarily because now we need to know what exactly does a county executive do.
A county executive. So he heads the executive, and just like the president has got his cabinet, the governor has got his executive committee.
Yes. So he can focus on implementing county policies that are there. He has some state functions that he's been given to.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been seeing now again with devolution.
Yeah.
We no longer have to converge. All of us converge at Nairobi Nyayo Stadium to celebrate
Yo.
Madaraka Day, Jamhuri Day.
I know.
No, nowadays at least we celebrate these functions in other places other than Nairobi. But then now, whereby even if it's being celebrated in Nairobi, the county can also organize its own celebration at the county level.
Yes.
So the people of Machakos can perhaps converge at Machakos Stadium if at all there's one. They can converge at Kisumu Stadium, depending on the county. Yes.
It's pretty exciting for me seeing that. The fact that you're
bringing the government closer to the people. That is the
Yeah.
whole essence of devolution.
and
Bringing
the fact
the
that your
government.
traffic imeacha kukua, man.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, we don't. Side chat definitely, but I'm pretty excited that traffic on the road on that specific day, because the president is going to be moving, and so all roads are closed until he gets to Nyayo Stadium, and then
yeah.
it's pretty exciting for me to see all these things, state functions happening also in different counties, and just
Yeah.
moving everything now to a devolved system. And it's important to point out that devolved system. Do we touch on some of the powers that he has? Because I feel like there are so many state functions that he does, and the state functions that he
At the county level.
at the county
now.
level that he's been given to do are totally different from specifically what powers he has when he's in that county.
Okay, so first of all, I think it's important to state that the fourth schedule of the Constitution provides for the different functions of the county government as opposed to the functions of the national government.
Yes.
So the governor is in charge of implementation of all those functions listed under the fourth schedule of the Constitution.
Now we can work on this later on and even point out some of this, some of the roles that he's been given to do, and we can definitely go about them. I think there are quite a lot. He's providing leadership, he's promoting peace, promoting democracy.
State function at county level.
Yeah.
All those are the functions of the president. The functions are also listed under the County Government Act.
Yes.
That is Section 30.
All right.
Section 30, yes.
Okay. A big question that would be there, that has been a lot of quite controversial, and people are trying to amend it so that they can stick around, is the terms. Does the term for
Term limit.
term limit for a governor, should it be the same with that
As the
of a
president? Yes.
Why so?
Yes. Because again, like we said, the governor is the president at the county level. Now, if the president cannot vie more than twice for the same position.
I feel like Makueni will lose out on Professor Kivuda Kibwana.
Professor Kibwana has been governor for 2 terms.
He's been governor for 2
Now
terms.
it's time to leave for someone else.
But I feel like they're
yeah,
losing out.
No. They won't be losing out. He'll still be there. But there, a number of these governors are going into retirement.
Wengi wanaingia
And a
retirement.
number of them say that they can only go for a higher position. And the highest position after governor is president.
Yeah, I mean, these people don't want to get into retirement. Some of them are young and they're trying to figure
They're
out.
young. They're young.
But si wataanza kukula pension yao mapema.
But they watapata pension. Na bado tena mtu anataka kurudi kama president. Anyway.
It's pretty interesting for me. So I saw it like...
They have a lot of power.
Some
Actually, governors carry power.
Yeah. So one of the biggest reasons why I felt like the 2 terms were really short for me was the fact that people like Professor will not be there again. And we can definitely see
No, we
a
need
drastic
to
improvement.
Yes, okay, fine.
Yeah.
The governor has done so well, but I think it's time that someone else comes in and steps into the shoes of the
Yes.
professor and works very hard to do a better job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And-
even if that person fails, at least we have the professor set a standard by which you can use to measure
Yeah.
his successors.
Yes.
Yes.
A bar has been set, and we've seen it even happening several times. Like every year we see a poll. Is it a poll really, or accountability kind of way where they they rank the governors as in terms of performance and in terms of oversight of the county and policies and state funds that have and county funds that have been used properly. which is pretty exciting for me every time to notice, because this rank allows me to understand a lot of how a lot of things in terms of how they have performed from the lowest ranked to the highest ranked, and it kind of helps even the people in the county to understand what their leaders are doing. So it's pretty much a good job that these organizations are being done. I need to check which specific organization before I start pointing that out, alafu ikuwe misquote some things. One of the biggest powers that I saw was the fact that he can actually appoint an accounting officer for the county. And it was each county department, he can choose who will be there. I felt like this was too much.
Each county department, the county departments are managed by the members of the executive committee. Yeah.
But he can appoint the accounting officer.
And also the executive member, the person who's in charge.
And the person in charge.
And I think also the principal secretary. Actually, being a, you see, in the national government, you've got the president who has a cabinet secretary. Then under the cabinet secretary, you have the principal secretary. Of course, we have this political one, chief administrative secretary, a position which was declared unconstitutional, by the way. There are people who are occupiers of unconstitutional offices and they are earning.
I'm not mentioning
unconstitutional offices.
I'm not mentioning any
story
Zach.
for another day. Story for another day. But now, at the county level, now we have the governor, we have the member of the county executive committee member, and then under them we have what's the name? We also have a principal secretary reporting to the county executive committee member.
All right.
Yeah, but they're not called principal. I just can't. The name can't come to mind. But they do have a name.
Is it the chief officers?
Yeah. I think it's the chief officer.
Yeah, they head the different departments at that point. Yeah.
Yes. So they did, and most of the time you'll find most counties have a department for education, health, tourism. Whatever we have at the national.
All right. Another big thing that I really wanted also to point out for people who choose their leaders in the process, the governors, because of that, they should also make sure that this guy is well in planning, because eventually he has to submit county plans and policies to the assembly, and your assembly will approve whether whatever he's doing is legitimate or not. And so this must be someone who's well who understands this.
Alafu mnataka kuweka hapo mtu alisoma hadi class 2 akuwe governor because the court declared that requirement of a degree and constitution.
Mimi wacha nisiongee hiyo part kwa sababu mtu wa class 2 umesema hajui kuplan. Mtu alimalizia shule class 2 umesema hajui kuplan.
Anajua kuplan basics but hajui kuplan a whole county.
Good people.
This is how buildings should be organized.
This one, for more info, wait on Yellow Tape. They will definitely drop an episode on this one because it's going to be very heated. But I definitely feel for sure. I'm not going to talk about certification on his planning skills, but definitely you have to think through someone who is able to plan, and planning is a matter of growth for the county. Where when this revenue has been allocated and it's been brought, it's not focusing on one area and leaving out other areas of the county. We've seen that before, where we see someone focus in one area, trying to bring everything to that one specific area, and then there's so many other marginalized areas even within that county, and it affects the people eventually. So you think through a leader who...
Planning is important.
Yes.
I remember, is it 2 years ago, there was a county, one of the counties in, let me call it Rift Valley, former Rift Valley province. I can't remember. Probably you'll remember. And they were suffering from floods. But flooding was also an issue in the previous year. So the conversation was, it happened once. How comes the county was not prepared for it in the following year? Yeah, so planning is very important. Disaster planning, planning in terms of... In a general.
One of the most frustrating things about Nairobi is how our planning failed. there was a successful plan that was that was laid out, a nice blueprint, but we ended up, the implementation was done poorly, and people didn't factor in that there will be a growth rate eventually. And so we're still using stuff like old drainage systems that were pre-colonial period. Our water, how we've laid out our water in this area is still from the pre-colonial state. So it's a bit frustrating. And then we see a big rush for development in terms of infrastructure, but we don't focus a lot on other utilities that will be used, and the county should be the ones providing this. So it's really important when this is that point when governors stand up and tell you about roads and water and development. You really need to be careful about what they say and tell them, first and foremost, we need to see what your kind of county plan looks like, na tuachane na hii idea manifesto. Then we can have a conversation, because our manifesto tusaidie ukituambia stadiums ka saba, but we don't see the plan behind it, right? That gives me a lot of issues to deal with at that point, and that's one of those things we need to check out when it comes to what kind of a person is he. Someone who can plan? Has he had a previous experience, or is merited to see that he can definitely it's very frustrating to see what Waitito used to do.
Oh my gosh, you mentioned the name. But anyways, the MCAs now, the MCAs decided to impeach him.
Yeah, they did.
I think so far so good. They're satisfied with their current governor, who was Waitito's deputy.
Manze.
But yeah, in terms of, I've just remembered in 2017 when Jubilee had Sonko, they also decided to put a learned person to deputize Sonko. But it didn't work out. Polycarpigate. But anyway, dear listeners, allow us to take a break for a minute.
Yes, as we listen to our sponsors.
Subscribe to this and other shows on acute.co.ke. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and other online podcast platforms.
And we are back. Just before we left, Wakili, we were talking about how we saw a governor choosing someone who could be able to plan, but things didn't work out. As a deputy.
He resigned, I think.
Yeah. Do you think we should definitely leave it to that tag team kind of thing? We should definitely just focus on a governor who can plan?
Focus on the governor, because actually, who do we see?
The governor.
The governor. That is the face. Do you know the deputy governor from Mombasa, for example? Si unajua tu governor 001? Joho.
Oh my goodness, I don't know.
Ujui deputy. Deputies waonekana.
As a matter of fact, I don't know a lot of deputy governors. I just know the Nairobi one.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Hata wa Kiambu najua haumjui. Mwenye ali take over from Waititu. Haumjui.
No idea.
Exactly. So it is important that you know the governor, because pia tumeona if you decided to put the deputy governor as the, in quotes, quote unquote, smarter one, sometimes it's difficult. Yeah, because now here we have a learned man, with experience from various corporations. Mmeweka kwa county government na mnaweka awak na Sonko.
We're not going to go into the details, but definitely we should definitely focus on the governor, because whatever the deputy is coming to do is deputize what the
plans of
the governor. And so we should focus more on the governor per se. I also wanted, but it's like we've covered, because you've made sure that I talked about the deputy, but clearly the deputy is just most of the time deputizing. As a matter of fact, all the time deputizing what the governor is doing. I feel like I have what major part have I left out? I am looking for the last one.
Well, we need to discuss, how do we know that a governor is successful? As they complete their second terms, have they done their jobs?
Thank you for that.
As some of these governors complete their first terms, do they deserve a second shot? Yeah? So how do we assess that a governor is successful?
Ooh.
I think for me, number one is just transformation.
In the county?
I don't think a governor would be successful if, let's use Kisumu. If Kisumu is the same now as it was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
It can't be the same.
Yeah.
Because the position of the governor, that is a product of devolution, was bringing the government closer to the people and also just bringing transformation so that the thoughts are not all, we just don't think about Nairobi when you think about urbanization and facilities. Do we have the facilities? Do we have running health facilities up? Because that is the most important in terms of health. A place like Kitui, I think recently they have launched the universal health coverage model in Iguapo. It's working in Kitui. We have Professor Kivuta Kibwana's county, which is Makueni. People are very happy with Makueni. People, hata wewe mwenyewe umesema by the way, it will be an injustice to the Makueni people if Professor goes away
like that,
because even as he lives, that county is so different from how it was when he took over. But then I know, of course, hawezi kosa kuna ile county moja pali wako sahi ni pali walikuwa 10 years ago. So for me, number one is the transformation. And now transformation, si barabara peke. I'd want to assess whether there are running institutions, even in terms of education. Of course, education at the county level is just for the ECDE based. So it's not really about it. But just institutions. We want to see health. I'm emphasizing on health because health is a major function that was taken away from the national government and it was put under the county government. We need to see that working.
Does every county now have a fully functioning and dependable level 5?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, we need to check on
but
that.
Those are the things that we need to assess.
Yeah.
So the mark sheets for me will be now the fourth schedule of the constitution. Yes.
I think also for me, one of the biggest things that I have to say that will be like a marking scheme for me is what plans did you come with to the table, and did you execute all of them, or what happened along the way? Just making sure that as we go down, but eventually we need to see someone who definitely brings growth and development to the county. It's as simple as that. If you go outside now and look at what your county looks like from the starting point to the end, I know you can't do all that, but there are definitely sub-counties that you can look at and you check on the performances, like how they have improved from when you saw them 10 years ago. You can definitely know what your governor is doing for you. If he's mtu wa siasa tu ama he's mtu wa maendeleo, those are the people who should be vouching for us. Those are the people who should be telling you mimi ndio mtu wa maendeleo, and you ask them maendeleo inakaaje, utaifanya aje, utaianza lini, utaimaliza lini. Just a well thought of structure of how he would improve the lives of the people in that county in all aspects. And
then finally, it's been 20 years. No, it's been 10. Constitution of Kenya 2010 to 2020. So we're in the year 2021. So it's been 11 years of this constitution. It's been 11 years of devolution. So we have, next year as we'll be electing, some governors will be going home. What will they be going home with? The retirement package.
It's been a whole conversation, man.
It's still an ongoing conversation, an ongoing debate.
Yeah.
There's a bill in Parliament that the bill proposes that MCAs go home with 2.46 billion, I think, collectively. And then governors, 521.7 million. And deputy governors, 350.1 million shillings. And the speakers, 145.7 million. Mind you, by the speakers ni wawili tu ama ina include county assembly speakers.
Ndio nashindwa kama wanainvolviwa. Hiyo pesa yote tunatoa wapi?
Loan. IMF.
Yeah. That's tough on us as the citizens. I thought this was just a job as any other job.
No, because actually they get monthly salaries.
Yeah.
And then I think for me it's the fact that just because someone is a second-term governor and cannot vie again, I don't think the law stops them now from going to vie elsewhere.
For different
like
positions.
For example, Mombasa anaweza toka saa kuja Nairobi, apewe huku Nairobi. Or hata kama si Nairobi, I think I was telling the producer that the Siaya County Governor plans to vie for a parliamentary seat. So atakuwa nakula pension ya governor na bado napata salary ya MP.
Hey!
Must be nice.
Must be real nice. I don't know. I have to talk to my county officials and find out if that's how it's going to work. especially on that specific
and
matter.
bado kuna mwenye atavai kwa president. I know the Machakos governor has severally stated that he has intentions of vying for presidency. Should he get the presidency, utakuwa unakula salary ya president na bado kuna pension
na
ya
pension
kukua
ya
governor. Must be nice.
Must be real nice.
Anyway, dear listener,
Feel offended, Yani, with that. How do you end that one like that? Gosh, we need to think through how we choose these people.
just make sure you get a deserving person so that hata kikula pension at least alifanya kazi kama professor kikula pension.
Genuinely, I people have been asking where exactly should maendeleo be happening. It should be happening at the county level. Choose your MCA and your governor wisely, because when it comes to planning, even when they approve, they have to look at where you live and where you stay. Whatever these other guys have is very minimal when it comes to policy making and their CDF allocation fund and their affirmative action. Hizo ni pesa kidogo sana. What the revenue is happening, the major share of this revenue is at the county level, with the money with your MCA and with your and with your governor. And you really have to focus on those two people, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
where this is one of those episodes I feel so like you've left my mouth agape like a few times, just thinking about how we go about things, from who we choose, how we choose them, who deputizes them, who should take the lead role, why should things play out this way, budget allocations, how we go about them, and then the planning process, alafu unakuja unamalizia na venye watakula pesa ya retirement. Yo, I have nothing more to say. Maybe you have something to tell people. Me, this one has been very tough on me.
Dear listener, just go assess the performance of your governor. If at all your governor is planning to vie again for a second term, just go and assess them based on the fourth schedule of the constitution. And if at all your governor is retiring, just go and check whether he or she deserves that package that is currently being proposed as a bill. It's not yet law, but once it becomes law, we are bound. Must be nice.
Must be real nice. Think about who you're going to put next also. Ujue pia atafika hapo hata kisafta mmoja atapewa hiyo pesa ya retirement. It's been an honor, guys. See you next episode.